A cyclone Michaung has made a landfall at last between Nellore and Kawali in South Indian state of Andhra Pradesh at 1 p.m. with sustained winds of 90 to 100 kilometers per hour. The storm has now wreaked havoc in Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Telangana and Puducherry. Meanwhile, the state government has evacuated people in order to minimize the adverse impact of the regions being inundated due to heavy rainfall. Additionally, there are 29 NDRF teams that have already been deployed across the affected areas in order to undertake the relief and rescue operations in wake of this severe cyclonic storm. Even as Michaung claims 12 lives, we talk about what is being done to limit the damaging impact of this cyclone. What is the help that the people on the ground require as of now in terms of materials, manpower, rescue operations, and what is going to be done by the government to rebuild Chennai and the parts of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana and Puducherry that have been wreaked because of the havoc. Take a look. Okay, in fact, let's start off this conversation, and joining me on the telecast, let me get in my guests right now. I have with me Dr. H.R. Biswas. He is the head of the Met Center at the IMD Meteorological Department in Bhubaneswar. Dr. H.R. Biswas, thank you for joining us on the telecast. And the situation is bad. Although it may not be this destruction of loss of life, although there have been 8 lives that have been lost in Chennai due to these cyclones that caused heavy flooding, but it completely brings the daily life and routine of the people living in the city, living in the area, to a complete halt. So it becomes of exigence that the government and the NDRF and the relief and rescue operations are provided at the soonest possible, so that rehabilitation takes place and their life is brought back to normal as soon as possible. Dr. H.R. Biswas, can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening to all. And yes, that cyclone, any cyclone when hitting the coast, that causes severe damages and loss of life also sometimes. And this cyclone was severe cyclonic storm, and this cyclone moved along the coastline, so it causes a large area that damages. That when it reached to the coast around nearby our Chennai city, that around 100 kilometers from the coastline, it was distance at that time cyclone center. So from that, it moves towards north, initially northeast toward northwest toward, then northward. Now it is moving. So initially it was moved when it was genesis started from west northwest toward, then northwest, then north-northwest, then now it is moving northward. So now it is moving from our North Tamil Nadu coast to up to South Andhra Pradesh coast and along the coastline. So coastal area, large coastal area got severely affected due to that. And the cyclone, as you told, that the cyclone positions is now over the land. It crossed in between our 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. today, and now location at 16:30 hours IST, means 4:30 p.m. It is 15.9 degree north and longitude 80.3. Now severe cyclonic storm, it is now as a little weakening. It is there now. It is cyclonic storm, and 75 to 85 km per hour, gusting 95 km per hour wind is now prevailing around the cyclone center, and it is located near to the Bapotla. It is our South Andhra Pradesh coastal area, and from Bapotla, west of Bapotla, 20 km, it is the distance. So it will move, it will now next 6 hours up to, it will be cyclonic storm, and thereafter it will gradually weakening, and it will reach up to even north coastal Andhra Pradesh area, and it will cause heavy rainfall activity northern that is our north coastal Andhra Pradesh area, also Chhattisgarh, in some Odisha also, Telangana also. So that now rainfall activity is main, and some squally weather also, wind also will be there.
Yeah,
Next.
Dr. H.R. Biswas, can we say the worst is now over? Finally, the landfall that has been made. Obviously, the worst affected was Chennai. There has been minimal damage to property, to daily life that has been witnessed in Andhra Pradesh and Puducherry and in Telangana.
Yes, now it will gradually, the effect will gradually will be less because already landfall occurred. So now system will weaken. So effect gradually will be less, but rainfall, this heavy to very heavy rainfall and extremely heavy rainfall also in some cases it will continue. So that will cause the mainly in now is harvesting period is going on. So agricultural impact will be very high. So that will be there, and some extent squally weather also still it is there, so it will cause some damages also.
How soon can we then be assured by the government that all rehabilitation, relief, rescue works will be completed so that people can get back to their old lives?
Yes, that way disaster management, all the states are working, and in our IMD part we are doing our early warning system. Early warnings are given, and accordingly action also taken by governments.
All right. Okay, I have with me Mithun Vijay Kumar as well. And Mithun, you know, the southern part of the country is you know, accustomed to facing and bearing these cyclones, whether it is in West Bengal or Odisha and now in Tamil Nadu. So, how can states be much better equipped to ensure that when the natural calamity hits, minimum damage is done and immediate relief is provided to the people, so that the period until which the people then have to suffer the consequences is reduced to the minimum?
Especially the southern region or the coastal areas in West Bengal, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu are kind of vulnerable to cyclones. And India, on average, I believe, faces 5 to 6 cyclones annually, out of which some 2 to 3 are very severe, and this one was of the severe nature, like the previous speaker said. And you know, the Bay of Bengal sees more cyclones than the Arabian Sea. So states like, you know, West Bengal, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu need strong disaster preparedness. But if you have seen, Kerala kind of remains unaffected by the cyclones, and I think in the last 127 years, only 5 cyclones have hit Kerala, 5 to 6. I am not sure. The number is very low. So this particular cyclone is actually a stark reminder, you know, of the power of nature and the need for preparedness, like you said. And the NCMC, along with the state governments, have kind of yesterday or the day before, or even before the cyclone hit, they assessed the situation beforehand and implemented relief measures and rescue operations. But I believe still there is a lot that needs to be done in the area of disaster preparedness. And I first of all, you know, salute all the rescue teams who are committed to providing immediate relief and rebuilding the affected communities in the coastal areas of these states. I believe some 14 national disaster relief teams have been deployed in Tamil Nadu, with 5 in Chennai, 11 are in Andhra, and 1 in Telangana, 3 in Puducherry. So now a series of work has to be done to provide relief to those affected, you know, right from damage assessment, the debris removal, infrastructure repair and reconstruction, livelihood assistance, and in some cases, even mental health support is required to be provided. And if you compare the situation, if I take the example of Chennai, especially, you know, it was it's a little bad compared to the other states, I believe, but it was still pretty much under control compared to the 2015 floods, which claimed over 100 lives. But, you know, we still see there are logistical challenges, communication gaps between authorities and residents. And that's the reason many people were stranded in places like Manakapattanam, Mugalivakam and all yesterday. So I believe a lot of work has to be done, but still the cyclone has not done severe damages, is what I believe. Meka.
Professor D.K. Giri also on the show with me. Professor Giri, you know, an unfortunate situation, something which is inevitable. We have to deal with the furies of nature, and this is one such fury, which is the cyclone that has hit Tamil Nadu and of course has landed on the coast of Andhra Pradesh. Now, do you think our governments, whether it is West Bengal or Tamil Nadu or Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, are they well prepared? Do you feel the preparedness is full and right to fight out the problems that then erupt, the repercussions of the calamities?
Well, if they were full, then we'll not suffer so much damages. Certainly, work needs to be done. As you said, we cannot prevent the fury of the nature, but we can certainly limit the damages it causes. Mr. Biswas was talking about early warning system, which is very important disaster situations. If we can give early warning to the people, people can move to the safe places, and there are cyclone shelters created. Orissa, I would say, out of all the states, Orissa is better prepared. And I would tell you, in 1999, I have witnessed firsthand the fury of nature, the super cyclone, what was called super cyclone, and the damages, the horrific consequences of that cyclone that we have witnessed. I was, in fact, partly involved in the relief operation as well. So one is the early warning system. We have a National Disaster Mitigation Authority now. We have NRDF, SRDF and all that, but they have to be on guard, and there should be sound early warning system. Then they have to attend the 3 Rs, whether they are prepared for it, because cyclones will come, the floods will come, fires will come, so are we prepared? The 3 R of any disaster management is relief, rehabilitation and reconstruction. People have to be given immediate relief, in terms of food, shelter, and psychological support, and then rehabilitation, as well as reconstructing their lives. They are the victims of nature, and they are entitled for the state support and the solidarity of the people across the country, really. They have not caused it. Why should they suffer? And it is people, ironically, some people, predatory, exploitative, capitalist production system that is called it. But that's another debate. Whatever it is, when cyclones come, whether we are prepared and whether we are able to handle it. You asked me a direct question, whether the states are, a loaded question, of course, whether states are well prepared. It's a right question. I would simply say, if they were well prepared, then there would be no disruption to life and livelihoods, and life coming to a halt. We see it in Delhi. You live in Delhi, I hope, and in Gurgaon. When there is a rain, look at the roads. The entire roads get clogged with water. Are we prepared for even rains? Forget about floods or a cyclone. Even the national capital, Delhi, you go on the roads when there is little rain, the traffic comes to a halt. And Gurgaon, last year, I was going to Gurgaon for something. The entire Gurgaon was flooded. So we are not prepared to even receive rains in our cities. We do not have proper drainages, you see. And I was in Vrindavan for some religious pilgrimage. There were rains, and I had to wait for hours to cross the road because there was a lot of water, and then going round and round. So to answer your question, we are not prepared for even heavy rains or let alone the disasters like cyclone, fire and floods. So states need to do more to cope with this situation.
Okay. Dr. H.R. Biswas, quickly coming to you now. The current situation, how soon can we see the cyclone recede? Okay, Dr. Biswas has left the meeting. We'll try to get him back on the telecast with us. But Mithun Vijay Kumar, so should there be, what should happen then? Should the central government and the state governments come together to have their disaster management teams to be more equipped? Also, when there are evacuation programs that are being done, is there a need for creating these shelters that people can go to, which are fully equipped with food, water, electricity, maybe like, even small schools, so as to, if it goes on for a week, 2 weeks, at least people have shelter, people have food, and then they are at least being given the basic facilities that are required to live life.
Yes, Megha, definitely like you said, the state government and the central government should work hand in hand, and they are doing it already. And it all comes to, infrastructure development, especially in the coastal areas of these states. I think we still have a long way to go when it comes to infrastructure development. So while these states, with the support of the center, have invested in improving their infrastructure over the years, but some areas, particularly older buildings along the coastal areas, those are still vulnerable to damage from strong winds and heavy rains. So this cyclone particularly highlights the need for continued investment in infrastructural upgrades, especially in vulnerable areas. And while Tamil Nadu and Andhra have made progress in disaster preparedness, there is always room for improvement, and that's what I believe we all were discussing about. And this could include regular drills like was discussed before, simulations, and educating the public about cyclone safety measures. So ultimately, it all comes to prevention and preparedness, because it's a natural calamity, and there isn't much that we can do apart from being prepared for it. So this could include improving our early warning systems. These governments, especially the ones that are vulnerable, the state governments should invest in improving early warning systems to provide more accurate and timely warnings, so that they can communicate the same to the communities that are vulnerable, that are living in vulnerable areas. Then building cyclone resilient infrastructure. So, and community preparedness programs, like I said. So they should implement these programs to educate the communities about cyclones and how to prepare for such situations, such as conducting drills or teaching evacuation procedures. Because even yesterday, I believe many of the communities were not ready to vacate their homes and leave the place when the evacuation was under progress. So this cyclone may have spared us this time without severe consequences, but the fight against climate change is a very long one, is what I believe. So we must stand together with the coastal communities to build a future that is prepared for such tough situations. Megha.
Professor Giri, then you talk about whether we are ill prepared to handle disasters, the natural calamities, whether it is earthquakes or we talk about the cyclones. And you were rightfully mentioning that, when there are heavy rains, whether it is in Maharashtra or in Haryana or in Punjab or in Delhi or any part of the country, traffic comes to a standstill. There are potholes, there are deaths due to potholes, there are deaths due to, roads just crumbling down because of the severity of the rain. So, how do we strengthen our infrastructure?
We have to, I think, have a psychological shift across the country, starting with the leadership. We have to respect the nature, we have to respect human beings. You see, if we start believing that we are very rich in philosophy, but when it comes to action, we are really oblivious, or we ignore that. What the point I'm making, we're talking of disasters. Look at the air quality in Delhi. Are we ecologically conscious? You see, we are living in a kind of a gas chamber every year for 2 months. This is the capital of the country. There are 150 embassies in this city. And we have failed to improve the air quality and clear the smog that comes every October, November. That is one. And yes, things have been done, but that's not enough. It requires really a different mindset of our leadership as well as people. You talked about cyclone shelters. In Odisha, I know that some 25, just after 1999 super cyclone, 25 cyclone shelters were built, and there was a mini cyclone, and there was no death or any substantive damage in Odisha, because the government gave the early warning and they shifted the people and saved the situation. So, and the central government praised Naveen Patnaik's government for that. I think that's a good practice. Other people could emulate as well. Since we are the most populous country in the world, lives are seen as numbers. When people die, how many people died? That's not a matter of statistics. Every life is important. The famous poet John Donne said that every death diminishes me because I'm involved in the mankind, meaning that we should respect every life, and we don't do that really. We see tragedies in numbers and the magnitude. So it's a strong ecological consciousness and strong preparation. And when you build houses, look at in Delhi, there are short circuit and people die. When you build houses also, more housing protocols have to be maintained. You see, the earthquake resistant houses have to be built in coastal areas. And there was a movement in Orissa to build with this, fly ash bricks, etc. The houses which are earthquake resistant. The fellow panelist was saying that vulnerable sections have to be really given attention to. But I would say all of us are vulnerable, really. You never know where, whom the bell tolls, So this is the situation, really. People living in Delhi, elites and privileged in the national capital, are suffering for various bronchitis and various respiratory diseases because of this poor air quality. I've been in Delhi for 40 years and it is getting worse and worse. So it is across the country, really, not only the coastal areas. We have to be mindful of our living conditions, our ecology, our nature, and about human life throughout the country. This is something, we will have to really sound it out to people, and a campaign has to be done about respecting life and nature.
Absolutely.
That is what I would say.
Absolutely. Okay, I thank both of you for joining me on the telecast, sharing your views. I have as much time to discuss this.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.